Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about HBAR and some recent decisions that we've been making in the market. From our most recent buys down at the lows and the lows again, we've decided to take some profits off the table. So I'm going to explain in depth as to what I've done, why I've done it and what I'm seeing in the market, because I've had a lot of questions over the past couple of days after I've tweeted out why I've taken profit. So it's easier for me to make a video here on HBAR, a couple of different scenarios I can see playing out for HBAR and how we can benefit from both sides of the market. So guys, once again, if you like the video, give it a like. Of course, any comments, subscriptions, always appreciated. Let's get straight into the video. So just to reiterate for anybody who's perhaps watching for the first time, our first major buys was late December. We tweeted out the buys, showing the buys here in January. So then buys was done at about 3.5 cents there for HBAR, which was down here on these 2 weeks here for HBAR. And then we tweeted out that we was potentially going to be taking some profit in February the 11th. So that was up at these highs. So we had a really nice 150% move that we was able to capitalize on. And then once again, we tweeted out that we was buying back in June the 7th, which is down here on HBAR. So really playing these pumps and dumps nicely. And then once again, recently this week, we've tweeted out that we've taken profit on HBAR for another 80 to 150, 100% move up at the middle of this wick here, about 6.5 cents. So we've really been able to play these pumps, dumps and pumps again very, very nicely, being able to put us in that position where we are once again now risk-free with a spot holding position of HBAR. So if we was to continue up here for HBAR and get to these higher targets that we've been monitoring, then we are in a great situation to be able to skim off profits as we rise. But we are turning our attention now to a possible scenario which perhaps coincides with BTC going down a little bit more, coming down into some max fearful zones, with HBAR potentially coming in and taking these lows. So we are now in a position where we can benefit from both sides of the market. Up we benefit, or down we benefit. We can increase the amount of HBAR that we've got once again. So that is just for the people that are perhaps watching for the first time and haven't been following along. But for them people that have been following along, I hope you've been able to benefit from these pumps, dumps and pumps, and perhaps even another dump coming up. And we'll be tweeting out once again when we are buying, which will hopefully be another low. We haven't pinpoint nailed every single bottom here. There was a bit of a dip after we bought here, but you know, we've been able to benefit from that 50, 60, 70% move again to the upside. So what I'm going to do now is just focus on some Fibonacci, some trend lines, and perhaps get a bit of a clue as to where our next major buy for HBAR is going to be. We know that we are expecting HBAR to return to the 15 to 18 cent level. If you've been watching our videos over the past months, that will be in your minds, and you know that we're expecting that big bearish breaker candle to come in and get filled at some point, but it doesn't have to do it now, which is why we've taken little bits of profit on the pumps to the upside. We haven't sold everything, but we will never not sell anything, because we need to be able to have that spot position risk-free in the market, as well as a cash position to perhaps be able to benefit from our portfolio going down another 50 or 60% as Bitcoin possibly enters a max fear zone, as we've mentioned earlier. So one thing I want to focus on here is the Fibonacci, and if we take the high to the current low, you can see we've wicked up to that 702. Big wicks like that often do get filled, so you know, if you are potentially wanting to play the same game here where you're looking at a wick fill here, maybe look at 50% of that wick getting filled next week, up and around the 6.5 cent, just like what we've seen with big wicks to the downside here, where we fill it 50% and then shoot to the upside. It works both ways. We don't have to be a bull or a bear here, but we've got a confluence level here of a wick to wick trend line with a Fibonacci, negative Fibonacci down here at around the negative 61%. So what I want to focus on is if HBAR is just retracing back to the upside here, and we've potentially got a scenario where we are going to enter a max fear zone, come in, down, fill this wick, fill this wick to wick trend line, break these lows, take all of this empty space down here for HBAR, we are then in an absolutely brilliant position to be able to capitalize and make those big major buys as everyone is panicking and calling HBAR dead after we've fallen perhaps 50, 60, 70%. So we are now in a position where we can benefit from both sides of the market. Like I said, we're not selling everything, so if we was to just shoot to the upside and get them higher time frame targets for HBAR, we're in a position to once again take off profits. But psychologically, people never want to take profits in this market, which is a bad decision. If you're never taking profits and you're never being able to capitalize on them 80 to 100% moves without even taking your initial investment back, you're going to get bent, because this is a game where you need to have a seat at the table. You don't want to be hodling, you don't want to be thinking, oh, I should have sold some, because the worst feeling in the world is getting a pump like this and thinking, oh, I'm not selling, I'm waiting for higher, and then not selling, seeing your portfolio go down. That feeling is much worse than selling a little bit and seeing the market continue to the upside, because then you can still benefit from it. Yes, you could have had more profit if you just held on, but this is a game of probabilities. We never know what's going to happen in the market. So for HBAR, that is why I've made those decisions to skim off some profits at this level. I will be honest, it's about 30% of the HBAR that I hold, so it's quite a significant amount, but we are looking to be able to benefit from that. Some people may say, well, if you get that move to the upside, what an idiot, what a stupid decision, and you might be right, but this is just my strategy and this is how I play the game. But if we turn our attention now to HBAR and the specific price zones that we may be wanting to enter the market in advance, because if we do get the dump, everyone will be panicking, thinking, when are we going to drop, when are we going to drop? But if we analyze this market right now and anticipate this dump in the market, then we've got a specific zone that we can be entering with no fear, using those profits that we've taken. So we've got a wick to body trend line here that has had one retest. If we was to get a secondary retest, we've got a confluence zone of this wick to wick trend line down at around 2.5 cents there for HBAR. But if we was to draw another trend line from wick to wick, we've got another bit of confluence here. If this was to happen a little bit quicker in September, coming down at that -27, -12% at around 3.5 cents. So we've got a couple of zones here that we can be watching here for HBAR. The longer we take, the lower we'll go. But the longer we take, the higher we'll probably go if we just take this wick to wick trend line coming up and maybe filling the 1.618% up and around the 17-cent region that we've talked about. So we are just playing the game of probabilities here, but these are the specific price targets that we're going to be looking for HBAR. If we was to capitulate through the trend line, one test, two test, third test gets manipulated, go below, everyone's thinking, no, what is going on? We've got the -61% there about. And now I've just taken us to the regular chart, because I have been charting there in the logarithmic chart. I think sometimes the log chart gives us a bit of an advantage. Not too many people charting the log chart. I've explained that before in some previous Bitcoin videos where we've pinpoint nailed bottoms on the log chart. So you can see here with HBAR this long lasting trend line that's really, people might say it's been manipulated quite a lot, but we've had key reactions from this trend line: big dumps, big pumps, retest pumps, and now rejecting. So this is another reason as to why I possibly think, is this a possible head and shoulder pattern forming here? Maybe we come up and fill some of that wick and then get that dump to the downside. It doesn't matter too much how this plays out, but we need to be ready and have that spare capital available without being a hodler, without being in drawdown. We need to be able to take profits when we see them 80 to 100% moves. We don't know how long this is going to last, and everything we're doing is focusing on building that position ready for those higher targets to the upside, which will inevitably come for HBAR. I do believe, obviously it's not financial advice, but I do think everything we're doing here is trying to build a maximum position here for HBAR for those retraces to the upside, them 382 50% retraces of the higher time frame analysis that we've done in the past. But really on the lower time frame, big pumps to the upside like this could easily just be followed by dumps, and with Bitcoin perhaps showing a little bit of weakness, we just need to pay attention to the market. Yep, we've had a bit of a bullish bias, but you don't want to get too married to a bias in the market, especially a quick acting market like this. This cryptocurrency market moves fast. You need to sometimes be in and out and have a separate portfolio that you're going to perhaps take profit on, and a portfolio that you're just willing to hold and wait for those higher targets. So that's the way I like to do it, guys. I just wanted to make a quick market update really on HBAR, give you guys an idea of what my thoughts are, how I'm thinking, what my thought process is, and the plan going forward for HBAR. So again, if you like the video, give it a like. It's not financial advice, but I appreciate all of the comments, subscriptions. As always, just sit back, relax, let the market do the work, and let the market come to you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.